hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're reviewing episode 3 of Divine Gate. And guess what? More character development! Yay! Character development! In this episode, guess what again? We see the background slash backstory slash... We see what happened to Midori and why she's there and what her whole issue is, and yeah, we see a bunch of Midori's backstory, so that's the episode. So I will say I do like Midori's backstory a lot better than Akane's backstory, because Akane's backstory was like, it could have been explained so much quicker than it was, but they just drew it out into a whole episode. Not necessary at all. And even Ayato's backstory is kind of more interesting just because his brother is so freaky and he's just like, whole parent killing issue. Like, that's kind of, I mean, Akane's, I'm not saying like Akane's backstory is like less important or less interesting. It's just, it's not as complex as the other two. And so to put a whole episode around his backstory, they should have made it more complex. It was more straightforward than the other two. In Akane's backstory, it was kind of just like his father died and there was a experiment gone wrong, but like Midori's backstory and Ayato's backstory, they kind of left it more open-ended. Why did Ayato's brother kill his parents? Where is he going? What's the whole issue with him at the Divine Gate? Blah, blah, blah. Even in Midori's story, like, it's what happened? Like, what happened to her friend? What's the whole issue? In Akane's story, they don't expand it as much, so you aren't really left wondering what happened to Akane's father. It's just, they kind of state that his father died due to experiment, and like, sure, we could wonder like what the whole experiment was, and I am wondering that, but they don't dive into it as deep as the other two stories, I find. They kind of just put it there and they leave it there, which I found really disappointing, because if they were going to spend a whole episode about Akane and his backstory, you'd think that they'd put a little more effort into expanding on the backstory and really making us wonder what happened. Because at the end, like, I was wondering, like, obviously there's some mystery behind his father dying, but they didn't really expand on it that much. I wasn't as curious as to his past as to like Midori's and Ayato's past. That was a lot of ranting. So at the beginning of the episode, we see a new character appear, Oz. Another one of Arthur's friends. He has Loki right now and Oz, and Arthur's planning something big, and he pretty much just gave invitations to Loki and Oz to watch, and Oz looks a little worried. He's like, I'll help you, but only if you're helping the weak people, and Arthur doesn't really answer that. He's like, have fun watching or something, and Loki's like, giggle, 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 and like Oz is a little worried. So I wonder what Oz's character is. Obviously Loki's a mischievous trickster, but what exactly is Oz up to? So let's dive right into Midori's backstory. So Midori had this friend, Elena, and it turns out like they were the best of friends, and they always went to the summer festival thing. Before they started school, in like the summer festival, Elena was just like, will you be like my number one friend forever? And Midori's, of course, like, yeah, we're gonna be number one friends forever. And it was so cute, and they're all friendship. But then they start school, and Midori starts becoming friends with other people, but Elena seems like she's hesitant and she doesn't want to be friends with them. And so it finally gets to a point where Midori's friends are like, hey, you want to go to the summer festival with us? And she's like, oh sure, but can I bring my friend? They're like, oh, okay, but like she probably won't want to come because she doesn't want to talk to any of us. And so Midori and her are walking home, and Midori's like, yeah, it'll be fun. And Elena's like, no, like, I only want to be your friend. You're the only friend I need. And Midori's kind of at this point, she's like, that's a little heavy for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't just say, yeah, you're gonna be my number one friend forever. And Elena was not cool with that, so she kind of ran away. Midori was texting her after, and she's like, hey, like, we can just go together. Like, we've always gone together. And Elena's like, no, I'm going somewhere else. And it turns out she was going to look for the Divine Gate. And last summer, they had heard that it was at this specific mountain close to where they lived, and it turns out this summer that Elena decided to go to the Divine Gate to get her wish. And Midori noticed when her and her friends went to the summer festival that people were talking about this girl who went missing, and so she ran all the way to the mountain, and then she gets a text from Elena because Elena never answered her. She's like, where are you going? And Elena finally answered her and she's like, the Divine Gate. And at that moment you see like bright flashing lights around the top of the mountain, and so Midori obviously just assumes that she went to the Divine Gate and that's where she is. And till this day Midori has not seen her since, and that's kind of what's pushing her to get to the Divine Gate. She's just, in her mind, Elena is waiting for her there. So that's pretty much the reason behind Midori wanting to go to the Divine Gate. Overall, I actually liked this episode. I found this episode actually quite interesting. While the whole show is kind of for me right now, I found this episode actually really interesting. I liked the backstory of Midori and her friend. It was kind of creepy in a way and kind of eerie, but still, like, I was interested, especially because at the beginning we see Arthur walk out of his office and there's this girl who looks exactly like Elena there. I'm like 99% sure it's her, but like that 1% could definitely be wrong. I enjoyed this episode a lot better than last episode because I feel like they really expanded on the story in this one. It's more like you were into the story and it felt more genuine. I don't know. It was interesting, okay? Maybe it's because I like Midori as a character more than Akane right now. I like Akane, but he was really annoying last episode. So right now, Midori is number 1. Ayato, way back there, don't like him. He's boring all the time. The series as a whole, I don't know how I feel about it right now because too much character development. They spent 3 episodes already. Just character development. Like, I want to get into the actual story right now. Like, I understand character development to a point, but like, they haven't really done anything with the actual story and the plot and the storyline, and they haven't really done anything. They just introduce these characters. Like, you can introduce a character but also keep the story rolling, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I hope you liked this review. If you did, you can always like, comment, and subscribe. It really does mean a lot when you guys do that, so thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I make a bunch of videos a week, and bye!